Hello, this is the video tutorial for the skirt part of Estade project. It's huge, so I cannot take it all into the screen. Okay, so we are going to sew the side seams of here and here, and with your overlocker or with a straight stitch. Here it is. This is one side. Now press with your steam iron toward one side, the same side, both seams, and that's going to be the back part. Okay. Now we are going to gather the waist part. The gathering should match the bodice. So see, this should match this. So gather, and then we are going to stitch the two parts together. Here we are. So when I do the gathering, I always start 1.5 centimeter from the seam, which is half an inch, and then I start gathering. So this part, where the seams match, is without gathering. Oh, I find it better. So now if you haven't already matched the centers of the skirt, match them now by matching the two side seams and finding the half, okay, the center. So, and now we are going to match the seams of the bodice and of the skirt here and here, and we're going to match. We have here the notch of the center front and the center back. We are going to match that notch with the notch of the centers. Right sides touching, so right side of the bodice and right side of the skirt. So here it is. I pinned the bodice to the skirt. You can keep inside the bodice or the skirt as you prefer. I usually prefer having the gathered part on top so I can follow the gathering, so I can follow the stitch going on this side. So it doesn't, this stitch, we won't see it when the garment is finished. Okay, so let's join the skirt and the top part with a stretch stitch. So here it is. Okay, I joined the two parts. What I do usually, I don't know if anyone does this, when I have the gathering stitch like here on stretch fabrics, I break it by hand, like by tearing. So because anyway, when I wear this garment on myself, and it usually breaks, no. So in order not to be alarmed later, I now break the stitches, but it will only tear the stitches, the gathering stitch. The stretch stitch will stay as it is. It should not break, okay? So you decide if you want to do this or not. Now we are going to stitch the elastic. So I'm going to stitch the elastic on this part, you see, on the bodice stitching, because then we can top stitch the stitching on the bodice if you desire, so we can hide the elastic, okay? So I'm going to start with 1 centimeter or half an inch overlapping the elastic on the other side, you see, beyond the stitching. And what I'm starting from one of the side seams, not as usual from the center back, because it is a delicate spot on this style, because it tends to make I don't know how to say an ugly effect if you start from there. So let's start from a side seam and let's mark the center of the elastic and match it on the other seam. So the elastic is smaller than the dress, so we're going to stretch it, and by stretching it, we can also use a normal straight stitch, because if we stretch the elastic while sewing, the stitch will not pop after. So you can use either a stretch stitch or a normal standard stitch. So this is going to be hard to demonstrate with one hand only because I'm holding my cell phone. But what you want to do is keeping with one hand stretched as it should be stretched by matching the other center, and with other hand you are going to manage the elastic and stitch. Okay. If you want, you can also mark the quarters, both which one quarter would be the center front or center back, and you can also mark the quarter of the elastic and match it. Maybe it will be easier because you have less to stretch. Okay, from one side to the other. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to show you the end result because as I said, I only have one hand available. So I'm half through the stitching the elastic. If you manage to keep it here, you see on the seam is here nice and clean, then when you do the top stitching, if you want, you can hide the elastic. Okay, now I'm going to finish. So here it is how it looks. As I said, now you can top stitch if you wish. I'm not going to do it. I don't mind seeing the elastic. So you just, as you need to keep this stretched and stitch near here. It's near the edge. It's not easy because it's very easy to do to slip on the front on the right side. So consider if doing it or not. Now blocking this opening. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try it on the back side, and I'm going to have somebody put the pin here where I like it, and then I'm going to stitch the two back sides together here, maybe where I decide to do stitching so it stays closed, this part here. You can do the same on the front side. Otherwise, you can add a strap here, or maybe two straps and lace them together. You also should do this by wearing it and deciding how open to let it. Okay. If I were to do this, I would make spaghetti straps, so very thin. I think it's called spaghetti straps. Correct me if I'm wrong. Very thin. And then I would do, I would lace them together here. Okay, so consider, you can also leave it open without doing anything. It doesn't slip so much. It's like it slips a little bit off the shoulders, but not too much. Okay, I'm going to leave the edge raw of the skirt, but you can do the rolled hem, or you can do the lattice hem as you wish. Okay, this is it. Thank you for watching and see you on the next video.